Chisco Gaming, and today we're going to be taking an early look at the brand new Season 2 content of Dragonheir Silent Gods, which includes many new heroes, and I'll show you some of the brand new story and the elemental affinity tree. Now, this is all done in a special test environment with a special test account, so a big thank you in advance to Dragonheir Silent Gods for sponsoring today's video and giving me access to a test server so I can show you all this sweet stuff before it lands in-game. Click the link in the description if you want to download the game for free. It's a brand new season, span new game. Dragonheir Silent Gods is in fact a season-based game, and Season 2, Fall of the Increscent, launches officially on December 15th, introducing a new sandbox, the Aethercarn. There's new strategy where you have a chance to conquer the seas. Literally, I was going around on a boat and underwater. It was pretty freaking sweet. The early game is smoother and leads to faster growth. And with the new season, there's also new elemental affinities, 30 new heroes to collect, and new damage types, including Burn for fire, Ice Blast for ice, and Thunderbolt for lightning. You'll also run into new and improved dungeon bosses, as well as new equipment and artifacts. There's even the new hero kinsfolk, Merfolk, that you'll see throughout the season. And with the new season, be ready to spend some dice in the fourth fairing summons event, and the new Season 2 exclusive summon pool, as well as exchanging Season 1 rewards in the shop. In case you haven't yet downloaded the game and you're getting a little hyped for Season 2, Dragonheir Silent Gods is available on Windows, Mac, Steam, and Epic Games with compatibility on both mobile platforms, Android and iOS. So let's dive into some of the changes of this season, starting first by getting a quick look at the new elemental affinity rotation. Now, for the next 90 days, we're going to be working with the following teams: Fire and Necrosis, Ice and Radiance, and finally Poison and Lightning. The teams we'll need to make this season will revolve around these affinities, so with the level resets on heroes, you can now make some different investment decisions on who to level up depending on how these changes impact your roster. So for example, instead of leveling some of my Necrosis units from the last season to pair with Ice, I'm instead going to work towards more of my Radiance heroes, since it's Ice and Radiance in this season, and I really like Ice, so I'm going to do whatever I got to do to make Ice really hit hard. Now, with this new elemental affinity, we have some new Psychicore upgrades as well, more specifically near the top end, for example, for Fire. It works around the new burn damage type, where the hero gains more damage based on the number of enemies hit. So all of these upgrades and buffs have been changed to suit these new elemental affinities, and we'll have to grind more events to get the affinity solvent to do these critical upgrades. Now let's get into the juicy stuff, all right? The reason you probably clicked on this video: these are the 5 most impactful heroes, in my opinion, in Season 2. That's the big thing I want to highlight in this video. Who is going to have the biggest impact, and who do you need to be on the lookout for? So we're going to start with the fire element, and first on my list is none other than the new burn damage types exclusive hero. And I don't know if I know how to pronounce this correctly. I think it's Aschetius. Let me know down below in the comments how to actually pronounce this name right. The first, his aura is really nice, okay? 30% attack for your whole team in all battles, which is very handy. And his passive pretty much states that his basic attacks do an area of effect to enemies in the 3 tiles in front of him. And when he basic attacks an enemy under the burn debuff, he's going to gain 5% ultimate energy. His battle skill deals fire damage in a diamond shape AoE around the hero, as well as applying 1 stack of burn. Lastly, and here is the juicy part, he dispels all burn stacks on all enemies on the board, then deals damage to them. He then triggers blast on all enemies, with each enemy as the blast center, dealing damage to all surrounding enemies. So everybody gets exploded. That's the idea. And finally, for each stack of burn that was dispelled, the damage from the blast explosion is increased by 75%, which gets insanely buffed by his exclusive artifact, which we're going to probably talk about in another video. So this hero sounds really busted, and when it comes to AoE, this is what Fire has really been sort of missing in Season 1, and now in Season 2, you have a way to accomplish this. But he needs to stack burn. In fact, he needs other people to stack burn to make his ultimate do huge amounts of damage. So good news, the number 2 hero on my list, and these are in no particular order, but number 2 hero on my list for sort of the 5 most influential heroes this season includes Karf. And he is going to help stack burn. So he synergizes really, really well with the fire hero we've just been talking about. His passive reads that whenever he hits an enemy with a skill under the burn debuff, he deals additional derivative damage to the enemy and their surrounding enemies. His battle skill is a little more single target focused, where he strikes an enemy 6 times, dealing damage that scales off of enlightenment, as well as a chance to inflict 1 burn stack. And lastly, his ultimate is where it gets a bit crazy. He bombards the entire field of enemies 3 times, dealing damage and each having a 75% chance when scrolled to inflict 2 stacks of burn. So in an average fight with 5 enemies on the field, let's say he inflicts all of them with 2 stacks of burn from his ultimate, that alone is 10 stacks of burn for the exclusive fire hero that we were talking about earlier. So that could be a 750% damage boost to that fire hero. I mean, seems really strong to me, all right? So let's move on to the 3rd hero that I think is just going to be really influential in this season at the legendary tier. And we need to talk about some ice heroes. Specifically, we need to talk about how Ice Blast damage is also related. So the first hero on the list is Beldelle, who is the new Ice Blast exclusive hero and a main damage source for Ice Blast. Her passive revolves around a new buff called Ice Crystals, and using these stacked Ice Crystals to repeatedly cast her battle skill over and over again. The damage for her battle skill gets increased by 25% every time this passive procs up to 100%. So it up to doubles the damage from her battle skill, which is her main source of damage, but she doesn't proc this passive skill again within 3.5 seconds. Then, if that happens, she's going to lose the damage bonus. So on her battle skill, which, like I said before, is going to be her main source of damage, she deals cold damage to a single target while ignoring their shield. Then she gains crit damage for up to 5 seconds, which is a 30% crit damage increase. Combined with her passive, this is going to do 500% attack scale damage and be cast a lot of times based on her ice crystal count. Finally, her ult strikes an enemy 3 times. Each has a 50% chance to gain 1 stack of Ice Crystal. So Beldelle is a really solid single target damage dealer, but she needs an enabler to gain a lot of Ice Crystals in order to proc her passive skill. The best new legendary to do this in Season 2 is Shinnah. And I don't, again, sorry if I'm not pronouncing these names correctly, let me know down below in the comments. She is a part of a new race that was introduced in Season 2, the Merfolk, and she is a great enabler for any ice crystal damage dealer. So she is number 4 on our list for what I think are going to be the most influential heroes this season. With her passive, whenever she has an ice crystal, when using her battle skill, she'll cast it again, and it consumes 1 stack of that ice crystal. She also grants a 1.5% attack up buff that stacks up to 10 times to all Ice Blast allies whenever she grants an Ice Crystal to all allies, and we'll see later that this is going to be primarily from her ultimate. Her battle skill is a hybrid of damage dealing and Ice Crystal generation, where she generates a Frost Bomb at an enemy and generates more Frost Bombs based on stacks of Ice Crystal that she has. So again, tying in with her passive, she is going to be casting this a lot whenever she has an Ice Crystal charge. Her ultimate that we brought up before is going to be her main source of generating these Ice Crystals. She casts a spell for 6 seconds, and every half second she deals damage to a random enemy with a chance of giving 1 stack of Ice Crystal to all Ice Blast allies. So in total, 12 total Ice Crystals if she procs every single time. This is huge. It's going to amplify the damage of all Ice Blast heroes in your lineup significantly. And from what we can tell, these Ice Blast heroes are all about their battle skills, which are enhanced from Ice Crystal attacks. Lastly, the 5th hero on our list here that I think is going to be most influential is from the Thunderbolt damage type. Now, I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'm just going to call him PK. PK is a new addition to the Lightning's AoE damage dealers and can be used with a bunch of the new Thunderbolt heroes that work around a debuff called Electrocuted. Firstly, he has 45% attack captain aura in gladiator arenas, so he's going to be really good in PvP. His passive basically states that he gets a stack of Overwhelm that has an infinite duration whenever the debuff Electrocuted is triggered in a fight. It stacks up to 30 times and cannot be dispelled. And whenever Electrocuted is triggered, he also deals lightning damage to the enemy on the field that has the lowest hit points. And the fewer enemies on the field, the higher damage, up to 500% of the base damage of the skill. Now you better watch out for this because he is going to be sniping your carry over and over if he's able to scale. His battle skill deals damage to enemies in a diamond-shaped AoE with a chance to apply Electrocuted to them, and also procs Thunderbolt on them immediately, which triggers the damage by Electrocuted on enemies once. His ultimate hits all enemies twice, each triggering Thunderbolt and dealing lightning damage to them. For every stack of Overwhelm he has from his passive, he increases the damage of the skill by 3% up to 90% damage increase. All stacks of Overwhelm are then cleared, so you really want to pair him with heroes that apply Electrocuted over and over throughout the fight for PK to deal really big AoE, as well as constantly snipe the lowest health enemy with his passive. So there you have it, folks. The 5 heroes that I think will be most impactful in Season 2 of Dragonheir Silent Gods. Of course, there are many more heroes to collect and discuss, so we'll have to save that one for another video, and I'm definitely looking forward to talking more about Season 2. Now, if you haven't yet downloaded the game, check the link in the description to download the game. It's a brand new season, span new game. Hopefully you enjoyed the combat footage that I've been showcasing throughout this video, highlighting some of these new heroes in action. You can check the card in the end screen if you're looking for more information about how to prepare for this season and what you need to do to wrap up Season 1, because let me tell you, Season 2 is just looking really hype.